Important one today. One seduction skill men must master to deeply engage her feminine emotions when dating. This is one seduction skill you have to master. This is very important. Who's this going to help? This is for all the guys out there who struggle to tap into that vibe and that emotional state when talking or communicating to a woman. So what that means is if you're a more logical or analytical minded dude, this one's for you. Okay, the one seduction skill men must master. Now in my community where I teach guys the language of women, the beginning of that whole process is called front end game. And this is where you're using and leveraging active masculinity to effectively communicate to her to gain that emotional spike. So the one seduction skill, okay, that a man must master or that a guy has to master would be what I would call running a tear. Okay, running a tear. This is a name that I made up. This is what I call it myself. Okay, when I hear this or when I tell myself this, just run a tear, that means you're just going to go on and on and on and you're going to just talk for the sake of talking. I call it this. If you want to call it something else, go call it something else. But what I call it is running a tear. And in this video, I'm going to explain what running a tear is and what it looks like. And on top of that, I'm even going to show you how this is the one seduction skill that you have to master. Guys who can't do this, their conversation to every woman that they ever meet, if they talk to her or if they approach, looks like this. Hey, what's your name? I thought you were really cute. I thought you were really attractive. Would you like to go out sometime? And she goes, no, I have a boyfriend. Oh, thanks. Oh, sorry, I'm actually working right now. Maybe a different time if we cross paths. And he never, ever, ever gets to see her again. So what I have spent over a decade learning and uncovering is what is the right string of sentences and how do those sentences need to sound in order to engage her feminine emotions properly so she wants to keep talking to you. Okay, the older I get, what I come to realize is that what men are attracted to is typically completely opposite to the things that women find attractive. And the more you understand what she finds attractive in general, the better off your dating life will be. So this video will help all of the CEOs out there, the business owners, the executives, the doctors, the lawyers, the accountants, and the engineers, or anybody with a more logical and analytical mind that makes it hard to vibe with women. If you find it very hard to vibe with women, I'm going to show you how to properly run a tear. An example of one would be this. Check this out. This morning what I did was I put on this sick white tank top and then I put on this sick cowboy hat and then I started making a YouTube video and I got this marker board and I just started sequencing stuff out. Like all this shit that I write down right here, column by column, check this out. This column we got this, where I'm going to show you this, and then that column I started doing this, and then by the end of what I did was I just created this insane masterpiece. What did I do there? I said a whole lot of nothing. That's what it looks like. Run-on sentence after run-on sentence. So I'm going to show you what it looks like, which is what I just did. And that's how you demonstrate the confidence and the aura to women where they're like, whoa, I'm not used to hearing a guy talk this way. What I'm pretty good at, okay, since I have more of that logical, like rational, masculine mind as well, I'm going to do my damn best to give you the mechanics of how to start to do this and how to start to talk this way so she thinks you have some sway. So learning how to run a tear in conversation is something that emulates the mechanics of a man with aura. Okay? Emulates the mechanics of a man with aura. What's going to happen is you're going to emulate the mechanics of a man with aura until what you notice is 2 months later, 3 months later, 6 months later, 18 months later, you now become a man with aura. That's the difference. So this is actually really easy to learn. I'm going to show you all the ways to do it, and I'm going to show you all the ways that you can start to actually win in your dating life. So how I learned this, okay, what I want to do is I want to kind of give you the backstory here, how I learned this. How I learned this was the more women I would date, or every long-term relationship that I ever had, okay, I started to realize this one thing. I started to realize that women mainly only care about their own happiness when having a conversation. So this is kind of what I noticed, right? Even when I would be in a long-term relationship, I would constantly hear women say things like, oh, you can tell me anything. I'm always here for open discussion and I'm really easy to talk to. But anytime the conversational topic was something that they didn't want to talk about, they would instantly disregard it, and they would instantly try to say something like, oh, you should just learn to communicate better. Even though what I was doing was I was actually having the meaningful topic that needed to be addressed. And every single time that that ever happened, what I noticed is this one thing. If the woman ever didn't feel happy while she was saying it, it negatively impacted the relationship. So I started to realize this one thing. It does not matter what you're even saying as long as she feels happy. So how I learned this was I started to realize that women mainly only care about their own happiness when having a conversation. And that's why the guy that they're with might not even be providing any real world value. She'll just tell her girlfriends, oh, he makes me feel good. Well, that's pretty interesting to think about, because that's polar opposite to all the high value type like guys out there wanting to just keep maximizing the car they're driving and the amount of money that they're making, but they realize that when they talk to women, they're not getting any more dates. This is what I really set out to solve. So what do? What does the mechanics look like? How do you actually run the tear? It's 3 simple steps. Secret number 1, all we have to do is we just have to turn our brain off. That is step number 1. We're going to turn our brain off and we're going to stop thinking, and we're going to start feeling the moment and saying what we want to say. That's a big secret here, is saying what you want to say. Most men don't do this. They're looking for the perfect thing to say. I am saying always what I want to say. Okay? That's the difference. If you feel like going indirect at that time, then you go indirect. If you feel like doing a direct approach with your game, then you're going to go direct. Whatever it is, you're bringing the vibe and the aura that says, this is what I want to say and I want to say it, and because of that, it's default correct for me. So step 1, we're turning our brain off. Okay? Step number 2, no punctuation when talking. We are just throwing out run-on sentences. If she says, how many drinks have you had? And you've had 0, that means you're probably in the sweet spot. Because that shows you're really just openly free-flowing talking. Okay, and then number 3, we're going to just talk for the sake of talking. So also what I learned about women is that since they mainly only prioritize their own happiness with the sentences that they're saying or with conversation, like that's what you'll notice. If you ever watch a group of women talk, every sentence is like a vibe in and of itself to just make that woman feel good, to talk for the sake of talking because now she feels good about the sentence. So what you're going to notice about women is like the conversation typically has no start point and no end point, and there's just sentences all over. Okay, so we're going to emulate that same type of behavior. Number 1, we're going to turn our brain off. Number 2, we're going to start throwing out run-on sentences. And then secret number 3, we're going to talk for the sake of talking. Now, openers and what to say, like when guys are looking for the right opener, yes, I've made videos on that in the past, even a couple weeks ago, I think, when it comes to just saying, you know, the same regimented sentences so you can desensitize yourself to either approach or talking to women in general. But what I want you to know is at a higher level, openers and what to say, openers and whatnot don't matter a whole heck of a lot if you just know how to roll through it. Okay, roll through it means on to the next sentence. Now on to the next sentence. Now on to the next topic. And we're just going. See, that is active masculinity, is we're steamrolling that conversation. We're openly steamrolling some sentences here. Look at that steamroll mechanics going. You see the steamroll? That's what we're doing, okay? So let me give you an example. You turn the brain off, you start just saying stuff. Let's say you're sitting there and you see a group of 2 women. You're with your friends. You say, oh, look at you cute lady sitting there with no one to talk to, huh? How the hell that happened? You're just saying something. You're putting it out there. Now, what you're also going to do here is you're going to show her or tell her different things about yourself directly or indirectly. One thing that I did literally a week ago, I sliced my finger open with a broadhead arrow. So there's a broadhead attached to one of my arrows. I sliced my entire finger open. I could start talking about this gnarly scar that I have, right? I could ask them if they've ever shot a bow before. Okay, I could just start showing them stuff, right? Hey, check this out. I was shooting my bow. You ever shot a bow before? You ever done this before? I was just mountain biking 20 miles last week in this city. Check this out. Right, you start just openly showing and demonstrating that you have a cool life, that you have stuff going on. So for some of you, what I've noticed is the reason why guys can't do this, okay, is they don't have a whole lot of cool things to show or tell about themselves, and I'll explain why. So most men, okay, they want to be like high value, but they're doing this through the male lens. So a lot of times what I've noticed is most guys, right, they don't really do or have a lot of things to show besides like they work out or they try to keep making money, right? So it's like they're kind of boring, right? They sit on the computer and they try to make money, or that's what they're doing with their career. And besides that, they hit the gym and they drink some coffee in the morning. And besides that, it's like she could copy paste and find that same experience with any dude who's doing the same stuff. So what you want to do, okay, is you want to essentially prioritize hobbies or interests that are non-ROI, non-return on investment. Okay, so let me give you an example. If you take 6 hours to go and surf or skateboard, you're not really going to get a whole lot of return from that, okay? It's not like that's going to make you any money. It's not like that's going to help you get ahead in your career or your future. But what's happening is, since women see life through the lens of emotion, the non-ROI, return on investment things in life get them to feel something. So let me give you an example. You want to have cool things on your phone ready, okay, to show. And you want to have hobbies and cool interests that are non-ROI, non-return on investment. This also helps demonstrate you or position you as a unique masculine archetype. Like for example, if I start showing different things about my life, okay, and like a woman meets me and like here's this dude with this like YouTube channel, right, who makes these videos, but like he also like shoots bow, and he also is like really into archery, and he also has like this cowboy hat on, and he has all this different stuff he's all of a sudden talking about and showing, right? It's gonna be such a different conversation than she's ever really heard before. So like it's naturally going to probably pique curiosity and interest. And this helps create like a unique factor where it's like you're pretty hard to replace. You're actually crafting a unique masculine archetype. That's the key here, is to create yourself into like a character, right? As if you were in like a movie or a novel, and she's like, whoa, I can't find another one of him. There's another dude here in this bar or in this restaurant with a polo on. Actually, there's 5 dudes with a polo on. Wait, there's 7 dudes with a Rolex on. Wait, there's 8 dudes here with a brand new Lamborghini. But whoa, why do they all look and sound the exact same? And then she meets that one dude who might not have nothing going for himself, but he just is the vibe, he just is the aura, he just is demonstrating that these sentences are, and now she gets sucked into that environment. So most men want to be high value, but they don't really do anything other than work out and make money. So they're typically kind of boring. So you want to start investing your time into non-ROI stuff, okay? At least an hour or 2 a day. Surfing, skateboarding, get a boat, learn how to go fishing, right? Learn how to do wakeboarding. You say, hey, check this out. I got this sick video of me jumping this huge wave wakeboarding. Check this out, ladies, right? You show them this. You say, hey, what about you? You ever wakeboard before? Oh my God, we can't be friends. How the hell you tell me you ain't never wakeboard before? Oh my God, you're telling me you've lived 27 years on this earth. You ain't never been on a wakeboard. Now what's wrong with you? You start saying this stuff, and she goes, whoa, this is kind of fun. This is kind of exciting. Why is it that, why haven't I been on a wakeboard? Right? And then by the end of it, you say, hey, you know what's going to happen? You and me, we're going to go wakeboarding. I'm going to teach you so much cool things. And she goes, whoa. So you got to figure this stuff out. Surfing, skating, boating, wakeboarding. Maybe you get into archery like me, skydiving, anything that involves movement. Okay? The man is the physical strength, that active masculine, that movement. Okay? This gets her to feel something. So what you want to do is you want to start going on about how cool it is, and then you want to show her or tell her how she can join. Okay? Girlfriend that I have right now, I shoot bow. First thing she wanted to do is get a bow. Now we shoot bow together all the time. Okay? It's just like little things that start to like, she wants to take on your hobbies and interests, because now you're like the guy that like guides her and like leads her into how she can see the world through this new creative experience. Most women don't get to feel that creative experience led through a man, which is why they're constantly just watching movies about it, or they're constantly like reading novels about it. So this is more of like an advanced skill, but it's pretty easy if you just stick to the 3 things in the beginning. You turn that brain off, You start throwing out run-on sentences. You talk for the sake of talking. Okay? You talk for the sake of talking. You're going to emote heavy on the front end. Now, this goes against some of the masculinity videos you might have heard, over the past 5 years about how you can't ever show or demonstrate emotion. Listen, there's a big difference between being emotional and being at the cause of somebody's emotions. When you're at the cause of somebody's emotions, you're at the cause, you're the active initiator, you are not at the effect. This is actually masculine. So you want to emote heavy on the front end to get her to feel something. This is active masculinity. If I start showing these cool things about myself or telling these cool things about myself, right? Showing and telling is better. That's why I want you to have pictures or videos on your phone of the cool stuff you're doing. Create a captivating reality. Well, this is active masculinity. By the end of it, you can say, oh, I really want you to join me, right? And you want to show desire here. I'm going to write this, desire, right? You don't want to show as if you're just like so willing to just like give up on the conversation. You want to look at it and you want to say, oh, I really want you to join me. Gosh, I want you to join me. We're going to have so much fun together. Oh, you really need to join me. I really want to show you how to do this. You know what? We're going to have so much fun. And you start showing that desire. Because like she wants to feel wanted. She might test you along the way and play a little bit hard to get, but you got to remember she wants to feel wanted. Because what she's looking at is she's looking at the emotional attachment she's hoping to gain from that man, which secures his future resources and his love and his emotional investment to her. So that's why women will play hard to get, because it's like she's sitting there going, oh, well, prove to me that you want me a little bit, right? That way I know that this is legit and you're not just doing this to every woman or saying this stuff to every woman because you're hoping to get laid. That's what she's doing, is she's saying, okay, let's make this real between you and me. That's the point of the test. That's how you pass the test on the front end. So we show that heavy desire, like, I want you to come with me. I want to make that known, okay? Now, another thing that you could do, if this is more of a struggle for you, when it comes to demonstrating yourself or showing your life, if you want to start to run a tear, if you want to call it that, just like I do, you can essentially do an environmental observation, okay? You're going to observe the environment. If I'm around, the woman, I might say, hey, look at all these people on their phone. How pathetic is this? We go into this fancy restaurant, right? We got all this music playing. Look at this. There's all these people. Look at him over there. Look at that dude sit there, right? Look at him bored. He's got his mouth hanging open as he's going, just like breathing down, looking at his phone. I go, look at all these people just sitting on their phone. I go, how pathetic, okay? I'm going to just observe the environment. I might look at her and I might say, look how every single dude in here has the exact same polo on. Doesn't that just look weird? Right? And a lot of times she'll giggle. Okay? If you can unlock that giggle, just observe the environment, you're going to notice that, like, and the reason why I'm telling you all this is because I spent literally like 10 years trying to like decipher and maneuver like not only how this looks and how this is acted out socially, but then what are the mechanics behind it so that way I can teach it to you. And when I put both those together, this is how you actually get a real framework that a guy can follow. So maybe you want to just sit back and observe the environment, okay? Now, the reason why you have to learn how to do this stuff, okay, the real reason, right, is because you must push back a little bit against the common thought that men are unattractive to most women. There's this common thought today where, majority of women are not interested in the majority of men and all this stuff. Okay, but here's the problem with that is the more guys keep believing that, it manifests through your thoughts, feelings, emotions, vocal tone. Well, here's what happens then. Through rejection, okay, and women through the years mainly, let's say, acting uninterested, well, what happens now is men walk, talk, and act in a passive state or in a suppressed state. So then when that guy does try to talk, since it's not free-flowing like I'm speaking right now, since it looks real calculated, he looks like he doesn't have a lot of social confidence, or he looks like, what happens is it's like this buildup of energy, and like the woman can essentially tell that over the past however many years, this guy has not been rewarded socially for the things that he has said. So then what happens is men collectively keep getting less and less confident. We have to switch that narrative so you become more confident, okay? Men walk and talk and act in a passive or a suppressed state. So then what happens is essentially everything that comes out of that guy's mouth now sounds either dumb or it sounds unconfident. Okay, so this method that I'm explaining to you, like running a tear, okay, bypasses all that. And then she can't really tell if you're confident or unconfident or not confident because you're essentially steamrolling the entire environment with aura. The entire venue, the entire environment, you're just steamrolling it with aura. And it looks like you're free flowing and you are willing to openly express yourself because you've been rewarded for it socially. So this is what you have to do. I advise you to do one thing is learn, understand, and master the language of women and go and join the community that I built so you can learn this at the highest level. If you think that this presentation was good, this is just a small piece, okay, compared to the depth of stuff you're gonna learn inside my actual private community. So be sure to join us inside of that. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.